like you're
the
in
important
the
audience.
where you're like in the app, like Google, so you just like open the app and you just press yes. Or Facebook, I can do it right from my watch.
Oh, the ones that are just like, hey, say yes. Like, that's fine, whatever.
All
That's
right.
not hard to do.
All right. Hello, everyone, and
All
welcome.
right, mate.
Thank you.
I'm all right.
Welcome to episode 14 of Talkin Tech with Jake and Tim. So I guess we'll roll the intro.
Great.
Cool. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Talkin Tech with Jake and Tim. So I guess we'll jump right into it with the title of this, and that is Linux has made it to Mars. So if you did not see, it's the
Curiosity.
rover
Oh, sorry,
named
Perseverance.
Perseverance has landed
Curiosity was the
on
old one.
Mars, and apparently, I believe I heard it went like perfectly. Like there was
It was. I watched it.
No
It went
issues.
very well.
No issues. And so yeah, you could watch it pretty much everywhere. And so let's see. So so the rover runs Linux, which makes sense. I mean,
Yeah, I mean the nice part about Linux is it's very open. It's open source, so you can effectively alter or change anything you want to. It can fit your every need so long as you know how to use it.
Yeah, exactly.
Unlike Windows and especially Apple, which are both fairly rigid operating systems, they don't change a whole lot in the end user.
Yeah. But yeah, so Linux has made it to Mars before any of us.
Awesome.
Yeah. Speaking, just a quick one, not on the list, but apparently I saw something that said, so Chrome OS, I believe, has just taken over Mac OS in market share or something like that.
Yeah, it took the lead in Mac OS in market share over Mac.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Windows, which
came down.
Yeah, so initially it'd be like, oh, Apple's losing market share. Actually, they still gained market share. They still grew in these new numbers. I forget whether it was quarterly or annually or whatever. But in this survey, Chrome OS and Mac OS both grew, and Windows decreased by like 8% or something. Like it was pretty drastic.
Yeah.
Decrease. I mean, I don't feel strongly one way or another. I'm not a fan of Chrome OS, but I understand that it makes sense for a lot of people. Yeah. Like it's not what I would want, and it's not what I need, but the simplicity and the cost just makes sense for a lot of people. Yeah. So I get that. And Mac OS is, like, I've talked about this before, but it's ingrained in society now. Like it's just a cultural thing at this point. I'm a huge fan of Windows, but I think they were at like 88 or 87% market share. That's a little high. I always like to see a little more competition than that.
Yeah. That was just a quick one. Next, and this one's I find very
this will be the majority. This is going to be a big portion of the episode here.
Yeah, is talking about NVIDIA's new announcement. I think they made it, I believe it was yesterday.
I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, that said that they are now putting on, I believe it's through the drivers as well as like on the newer cards through the actual card's BIOS. They're putting on a lock so that way, because they're releasing a new line of graphics cards that are specifically for mining, and so they're putting a lock on these so-called gaming ones. So like
All right.
it'll be much more difficult.
There is a lot to unpack here, so I'm going to preface this by giving you a little bit of history. And I want to preface all of this by saying, this is a live stream. It's kind of stream of consciousness talk. Linus Tech Tips made an excellent video on this like 4 hours ago.
Wait, he did? Oh,
yeah, he did.
I didn't watch that yet. I saw
it's
that.
I did, and it's very well put together, and it shares a lot of
the quick tech linked episode.
It shares a lot of the thoughts I have on this. So basically, here's your history lesson. So back in we're going all the way back to the 10 series, which was on the I've already forgotten Pascal architecture. So that was like 2016 they came out in, but really it kicked up in like 2017 when Bitcoin gained a whole bunch of popularity and it gained a whole bunch of, the price went up. And so now cryptocurrency mining was this huge industry, and the easiest way to do it would be to put together mining rigs. You would just take a whole bunch of graphics card, slap them in a system, and say, all right, go work and, go get me Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever.
Cards.
You do. You talk to them. It's the most efficient way. But anyway, and because there wasn't as much of a silicon, silicon, what's it called when you don't have any shortage? Thank you. You're really helping me out here. Silicon shortage. Because there wasn't a silicon shortage back then, it wasn't a huge deal. That said, there were a number of cards that were specifically made for crypto mining that were functionally the exact same as their gaming counterparts. The only difference was they had a software, I think it was a software lock. I'm not sure it was BIOS. And they didn't have any sort of display. No HDMI, no display port. I don't even think they had like a DVI or a VGA. The idea being, all you need this to do is to communicate with the CPU, and then you use like onboard graphics or whatever just to configure the system because you don't need a display.
Yeah.
The issue with that is that now you have a whole whack ton of e-waste, and besides miners, effectively these GPUs are gone.
I mean, by the way, miners are not Minecraft players.
They are not Minecraft players. They are people who put together these rigs and run them for money. So we saw when the 20 series came out, you had a whole bunch of people, and right when the 20 series came out, there was also a Bitcoin cryptocurrency crash. And so now nobody really wanted to mine. And so the 20 series wasn't a compelling upgrade. And in addition to that, everybody who wasn't using mining specific cards, who just used regular off the shelf gaming cards, which were just as good at mining. So if they essentially sold them. They said we can make more money just by selling these on eBay or Craigslist or whatever than continuing to mine for a discounted price. Obviously, you're not going to sell them at full market price. So they flooded the market with, I think 1070s were the most common because of the price to performance when it comes to crypto, not gaming. So you had like a whole bunch of 1070s, a good number of 1080s and 1080 Ti's, whole whack ton of 1060s, and then, in comparison, there were, I think, fewer 1050 and 1050 Ti's. But the point is, NVIDIA has seen now that when they make these, when these crypto cards... So what NVIDIA learned from this was twofold. One, when you make crypto-specific cards and sell them for what is a very low markup, they're a little cheaper than your average gaming card because, one, there's a fewer number of people who are mining, and two, they only have one use, so they're not really great on like a resale market. So there's not a whole lot of profit to be gained there. They learned that they can market these crypto cards very well when crypto is doing well. And they also learned that, where was I going with this? I forget what my second point was. Moral of the story is, this happened before. And now the crypto is going back up again. NVIDIA says, let's do what we did last time. Let's make these mining cards. Now, there's a couple issues with this. The biggest one is that there is virtually no silicon out there. So silicon is what you would need to make the chips that go in a graphics card. Gamers can't get their graphics cards first. And in NVIDIA's eyes, NVIDIA's marketing, they try and cater towards gamers first. Like, oh, we're a gaming brand. And Linus does a great job of explaining this. No, they're not. They are a company. Companies exist to make money. They are just trying to make money off of you. So by creating this whole new market for crypto, they can now extend their market share and jack up, keep prices high, essentially, is what they're trying to do. So the immediate backlash that they saw was going to come, and still is coming, I'll explain why in a little bit, is that if they're making these crypto-specific cards that gamers can't use, there's going to be less silicon for the already minute supply of gaming cards. Can't get a gaming card, and now some of the very, very small amount of stock that could have become gaming cards is now becoming these crypto cards that we don't really want. They decided to counteract this by releasing a blog, I think it was a blog or a press statement, that said, hey, look, we promise this isn't going to impact existing GPU, this isn't going to impact GPU sales at all for gamers. This isn't going to impact the number of great gaming graphics cards we can produce. And to be sure of that, we're going to institute this new BIOS or firmware, whatever it is. It's BIOS or software lock on their gaming cards that make them only work. Basically, it takes whatever your mining capacity would be, how many variables you can execute in a certain amount of time, and it has it. So you effectively get 50% of the profits if you're using a gaming card. The issue with this is that that's not really going to deter miners, because there is almost certainly going to be a way to get around it. They tried something kind of similar with the 10 series, and literally within like 2 weeks, they figured out a way around it. So it's not a good solution. There's one other thing that I could go into right now, and that's the issue of this producing e-waste, because these GPUs are, like I said, after the mining crazes died down, they're not really good for anything. But I don't really feel like I need to go into that. I just recommend you watch the LTT video. He does a much better job of explaining all this. And he goes into the e-waste issue a lot more. But this is just dumb. NVIDIA is trying to pretend like they're on our side, and they most certainly aren't. They're just trying to make money. And it's kind of scummy.
Yeah.
Bad move, NVIDIA. I'm not happy.
Well, you heard it here, folks. Tim is not happy.
You heard that.
All right. So let's see. Here's a quick one. Comcast has yet again delayed its data cap rollout to 12 states, and this time it's until 2022. So if you live in one of the last states where Comcast hasn't rolled out a data cap, as I just said, the 1.2 terabit data cap is now pushing back until 2022.
So if you were wondering, like I am, which states there are, it's Connecticut, Delaware, Massachusetts, Maryland, Maine, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Vermont, West Virginia, and the District of Columbia, along with some parts of North Carolina and Ohio.
Why some parts? I don't understand that.
It just depends where their data centers are.
Oh, true. All right. So the reasoning for the delay, according to the announcement, is that the company realizes that the data plan was was new for its customers in the Northeast and wanted to provide them with more time to become familiar with the new plan. this isn't a courtesy the company extended to other states when it extended the data caps to them, apart from a couple uh, apart from one or two free overage months. But there also was not a global pandemic during those rollouts. I just think they should just not implement the data cap. How about that?
I I mean, we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
I would prefer to not have a data cap, but as I explained in other episodes, if it doesn't affect me, then I don't really care. And from the data I've seen on my household, it's not going to affect me in any meaningful way. So therefore, I don't really care.
Yeah,
Uh,
main reason it's going to end up affecting me is because when I finish, well, I'm going to have to do, when I finish like projects or whatever, like I'm going to start uploading them to Google Drive. And so uh, those can be relatively large projects
why are you uploading them to Google Drive as like a cloud network
as a
save?
cloud like backup,
Yeah,
because I have my server, and then this will be a backup in case
I
that.
was gonna say why wouldn't you just put it on an NAS? But
Yeah, no, I have a NAS, and this
doesn't
is a
exactly help
backup
you, I guess.
backup for that NAS.
Yeah.
So that's one of the main reasons I'm a little worried. But
Have you seen? They haven't implemented the fees and stuff, but have you seen? I think they've released data on how much data like your household uses. Have you seen
yeah,
that?
yeah,
Are you
we were
over?
notified that like we were like over it like 2 days before the end of the month. So back
Okay,
when before they were gonna like delay it, but
so you were close, is what you're saying. 2022. I mean, yeah, it doesn't sound like much is gonna change
yeah,
as far as your data usage. I can't think of why that would be. So maybe online school, like the streaming,
yeah,
maybe over the course of a month that'll bring it down enough. I
maybe
don't know.
we'll have to see. Um, Next up, hold on. Um, let's see if I can find it. I think it's this one. Yeah, this one, and then there's another one at the top as well, Tim. I don't know if you saw the other one.
I don't know what you're talking about. If you start talking about it, I'll find it.
So this one, and then I'll scroll back
Got
up
it.
so you can get the other one right here.
Got it.
You got both?
No, I have one of them.
Do you see where my thing
Okay, I
is?
have both. We're
Yeah.
good. We're good. We're
Okay.
fine. We're chilling. Don't worry.
Okay. So Android 12 developer preview is now available with many under the hood updates, as this article says. So they released it for Pixel devices as of
Today,
2 days ago.
when the article was published, I guess.
What?
Is that when the article was published? Because in the
Yeah.
actual wording in the article,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it
it's
says
2 days
today,
ago.
but
Okay,
it's 2 days ago, February 18th, 2021. For the normally Google the very first previews of Android are a, a lot of developers facing changes. Android 12 has updates to how the OS handles images, video, and future security updates. It's also the norm for them to hold some of the major UI changes in reserve for its Google I/O conference, typically held in May. Although this developer preview does include some changes to the UI for notifications, we don't know how closely it will map to the leak that we saw earlier in the month. Apparently, there was a leak earlier in the month. And so it's available for Pixel 3 and newer phones, but needs to be manually installed by flashing your device. It's likely nowhere near ready for day-to-day use, but Google is promising that it will continue its beta test program for regular users later this year. So then another thing, another article as well, saying that stacked widgets and a new look for the lock screen may be coming to Android 12. So there were the leaks, and then Google, yeah, I said it before, Google just officially released the developer preview. And so people were digging through it, and have made many discoveries that the UI changes may be on the way. So first thing is stacked widgets, which is, if you have an iOS device, I think it's pretty cool, especially the ones, there's one where it will actually cycle through them throughout the day depending on like what you have. So if you have a calendar event coming up, it'll cycle to that one when like your phone's off. And then you can also scroll through widgets as well. And so it sounds like they're bringing that to Android, how the turns have tabled. And so, yeah, so that's one of the features. And then is there anything else? There's apparently a new lock screen and a new always-on display with larger text that's stacked with the hours on top of minutes on the new lock screen. It floats to the right when notifications come in, and the always-on display shows a new placement of notification icons in the upper left of the screen. So it's hard to know. This says if these UI changes will look like this is what they look like in their final form, or if they're gonna change it as for the next beta and the official version. But it looks pretty interesting. I'm not the biggest fan of the way it looks. I don't really like it in the middle. I do like when it's on the right. There's this excellent tweak which you guys can check out if you check out my videos called Jellyfish, and it actually puts the time to the right with the date and stuff. I don't really like how they have the numbers in this. I'm not a huge fan of this look. But that jellyfish tweak.
All I want to know is what's wrong with putting numbers in like their normal order. So, Jake, have you? I don't know if you've shown them what the shown the viewers what the possible new lock screen tweak looks like.
I did not.
But basically, it has the hours stacked above.
Yeah,
the minutes.
Yeah.
And that is stupid. Why wouldn't you just put the hour? And it's something to note is it's not just like on some, I know on some like smartwatches it has like, oh, here's the hour here, and then the minutes are like in the same line below it. That I can forgive because it's like usually I've seen it on Apple Watch.
If it's a smaller screen, like
because it's a smaller screen and you're just it makes sense. You can maximize your real estate. Okay, I can understand that. It wouldn't bother me. I don't think it's not inconvenient. It's just like
it
what's
looks
the
odd.
reason?
Yeah.
Yeah, like why would you do it? Like
in that tweak jellyfish, I really like it because it puts the entire time in one line, and then below it puts the date.
So like the way Apple has it. Like that's one the Apple I
yeah, kind of like it. It's kind of like
innovation.
It's kind of like this, but the time is off. It's like off to the right, and the date's a bit bigger.
Okay, like I criticize Apple a lot for what I consider needless innovation. Things like getting rid of the home button. There wasn't really a need for that at the time.
I like it.
Getting rid of the headphone jack definitely wasn't a need for that.
Not a need.
Like stuff like that. Like they just sort of
getting rid of the charging port.
Yeah, they'll change something and
coming soon to areas near you in the fall.
And then they'll make up a reason for it, and that's stupid. And I feel like in a much milder case, this is what this new Android feature is on the watch. Right? Is they decide, I think we should change how the hour looks, and then they're like, because it's new. Like they don't really have, there's no good reason. It all comes down to if it ain't broke, why fix it?
So I was just watching a video. I don't know if you know the channel Zone of Tech.
No, I don't know.
Well, he's a channel, and he made a video describing what's happened to Apple, and so I liked the way he did it. So he said from I think it was early 2000s to 2012 was the innovation era where they came out with the iPods, the
iPod,
iPhone, iPad, MacBook, MacBook Air, all that.
MacBook Air was a big one. The redesign from the 4 to the 5, iPhone 5.
Yeah, they kept it was they kept redesigning stuff every
Yeah, iPod
year.
Nano, that was a big one.
Yeah, exactly. And they kept
Yeah,
redesigning stuff like
massive
every year.
innovations.
Then they took it from 2012 to about 2019, 2020, which was the minor updates, just strengthening what we're doing.
Six
Like
to seven
like
was basically not an
we're
update.
we're
Seven
always
was
we're
minor.
always right, just making like strange changes.
Yeah.
I forget what he called it. And then from 2019 or 2020 to like present day, and it will probably be another couple of years, Apple is now like listening to everyone, and like
No, they're not.
they're like they're about to redesign the Mac. They're going to bring back MagSafe, which everyone liked. They're going to
Uh-huh.
bring back the SD card reader on the MacBook Pro. They're adding 120 hertz and some other stuff, and they removed the butterfly keyboard. They're starting to like listen and that stuff. And I thought that was really right. And I think they're going to then keep cycling through that. And so I think the next era in a couple of years will then be the innovation era. But I did not really like the previous era where they like just kept removing stuff. And I think that's what Android's maybe gonna fall into.
I would love it if I believed that, but here's the thing: Apple removes stuff to make it new and exciting, and Apple adds stuff back when they remove too much and it starts impacting their sales. They changed the butterfly keyboard, not because they honestly believed it was a bad keyboard, but because people said, why would I get this garbage new laptop with this garbage computer when I can just get an old one that's
I'm pretty
will
sure
serve the function of a good
I'm
keyboard?
pretty sure the guy from Zone of Tech like went through and like looked at like their sales and stuff like that. I don't think it was actually because of that. I think they just actually started to listen to people.
So here's the thing, is that Apple is no different than NVIDIA. Apple doesn't view you as a valuable customer.
That
Apple
is true.
doesn't care what you want. Apple cares what you will pay for
True.
and what you will pay a lot for. And they know that they can get away with almost anything because unlike Nvidia, they're just such a part of a culture. Everybody when they think about a phone, one of the first things they'll think of is an iPhone. Everybody immediately jumps to like MacBooks. Everybody, a lot of schools use uh, Macs as their computers. Like it's just something we're surrounded by now growing up. It's ingrained in us that Apple is the pinnacle of technology for almost anything.
That is true.
So people are willing to pay a lot, a
Yeah.
lot, a lot. And not only that, it's a status symbol too. Having all Apple stuff, remember when AirPods first came out? That was the coolest thing. Is if you had AirPods, you were rich. You had money. Like it's the
I was
same.
that kid.
You were that kid. You had money. You stayed up until like 1 a.m. to get an iPhone 10
Yes.
because that was
I
who
woke
you
up for
were.
that too.
It's a
I was really
status
tired
thing.
that day.
People will pay almost anything, and I'm guilty of it. I like iPhones way better than the competitors. I will pay
You have
absurd amounts for an
iPhone.
iPhone.
You used to have Beats.
I still have my
You
Beats.
still have Beats. Yeah.
Beats are the same thing. Even before Apple bought Beats, they were the same thing. It's just it's a good headphone in a a respected brand that has a.
Power Beats. You have the Power Beats now.
Yeah, the Power Beats.
Those are. Yeah. Sorry.
I had Solo 3s.
Yeah.
I had a pair of Solo 3s, which I loved, and then they broke. And now I have a pair of Power Beats, which I love, and they have not broken yet. And same thing. People give Beats a lot of criticism. They're good headphones.
They are.
They completely deserve the criticism that they're just overpriced. Totally fair. You're paying for the brand name at that point.
Although they used to, I'm pretty sure they used to like not be overpriced. The whole purpose of them was to make like cool looking headphones that were like mid range. And then once Apple bought them, they kind of wanted to transition it to the AirPods.
They've always been high end. They've always been high end. They when they first launched, they didn't know how far they could push this brand, and then it gained traction and gained footing. People like,
because I thought their whole thing was that they were like they were mid range, but they like looked really cool and stuff like that.
I mean, they're not gonna when they launched, they weren't gonna run you like a nice pair of studio headphones. And they still
like $150,
even
$200.
Yeah, it was like $150 for a nice pair of like wired.
Yeah.
Well, the wired ones were less. The wired ones were like $125. and then the wireless were like 150 to 200. And that's for, for a pair of headphones, especially for the wired ones. That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot to blow on a pair of headphones, but
It's
it's not their whole marketing thing was like, and it's what Apple tried to do with the AirPods Max, which is why they're trying to dissolve Beats now, is because they're trying to essentially just fold that market share into their brand. Is the idea is it's studio quality studio quality sound in a high-end consumer price range.
Should I buy them?
So
I was thinking about maybe buying them.
The AirPods Max, I will beat you over the head with the solid block of aluminum that is the ear cups. I mean, that's just a total waste of money.
I don't know. We'll have to see if they come out with another next.
You would be better off putting that into crypto, which I'm sure is going to crash. But at least you can pull something out of the crypto.
Why would I buy crypto? You got mine.
I don't mind. Please don't mind.
Anyway. I may. We'll see.
I mean, it's one thing if you... Have you released the palette video yet? Am I allowed to say what's in it?
Or no, but okay. I did recently.
I won't talk about that.
I got a box, a random box.
That was all I was going to talk about.
Yeah, there's just a random box. It wasn't even supposed to be in there, but the guy just sent me a random box of graphics cards, and I have like 4 1060s or 5 1060s that I think
seems
were
like they were probably mining cards.
Yeah, so I could just put them back in and just like.
Yeah, I mean, it's. Because here's the thing, is that it's one thing to set up like a dedicated mining rig and buy like 10 GPUs and then try to get them to pay themselves back over time, because that is just... Nobody likes you at that point. You're especially right now, like if you're trying to buy...
Yeah, but I have like a whole box, so like...
Yeah, but for that, like I know a lot of people who like... They'll have, their Ethereum miners, and just when they go to bed, they'll put their computer on sleep and let it mine Ethereum. Like, that's whatever when you're not using it, like, it might as well make a little extra dough there. So, like, if it's just that, who cares? And to your point, like, they're all 1060s, they're mining cards, nobody's going to want them. It's better to put them to work than throw them in the trash.
Can I interest you in a mining card 1060, Tim?
Sure. You know what? How much?
40,
I'll pay
$50.
I'll give you 35.
I'll think about it. All
right. We'll talk about this later. But like that's something I would throw an extra. I'm using a mini ITX board right now, so I'm gonna PCIe slot. I'll throw an extra mining card in there and just let it run at night, because why not? Yeah, I mean, I forget where we started this at. Apple doesn't care about you. I think that was it.
Yeah.
Then it went into Beats. That was what I was talking about. So Beats' whole thing was studio quality sound at a high-end consumer price range. They definitely had the high-end consumer price range. I'm not convinced they had the studio quality sound. If you're really thinking about getting a pair of studio headphones, you probably weren't going to buy Beats. If you were serious about it, like they were good sounding, but if you're really trying to do like mixing and stuff like that, you
Sennheiser.
Sennheiser. There's 1,000 other ones that you wouldn't even recognize because they're just only for that. Like that's what they're known for. It's like color accurate monitors. It's exactly like that, because a color accurate monitor, it's not good looking, and it's really expensive, and it's good for a very specific use case. And other than that, they just kind of stink. Like it's got like 5 millisecond pixel response time, and
I find it, but it's like strange now. I was like watching like videos now. A ton of like the new gaming monitors are like IPS, which is like pretty good color, and I find that like really surprising that they like actually like.
So now they're able to effectively fold all the things you wanted at a high refresh rate, high pixel density.
Yeah,
it's
obviously not the best color,
brightness.
but
it's got
like
great. Most of them have actually pretty good. Most of them have delta E's under 97% or whatever it is, under 3 or whatever the human eye can see. I forget what it is. Most of them have delta E's where your average person isn't gonna be able to notice. And yeah, if you're really doing color accurate work and you're a photo editor, for a living, you're gonna get a color accurate monitor that has a perfect, that, because the other thing is that rating is, it's usually not from the factory. It's like a selected model that they'll tune, and then they'll say, all right, this is what this panel is capable of. If you tune this for color accuracy, this is the best case scenario. It's a best case scenario thing, is that's what it is.
Yeah.
But like real color accurate monitors will actually have special tuning devices that
to do it.
they'll have calibrations.
Yeah.
Both from the factory, and there'll be calibration tools to get the correct
I
color.
have like the LG Ultrafine, but like I think that one's like pretty good at like color, but I'm only able to calibrate it through the software, so it's not like the best. Like
they have external tools that you can plug in.
Yeah,
they'll they're pretty neat. Yeah, I mean, and the other fun thing about color accuracy is it actually depends on what type of color accuracy. Like I forget whether it's specific like tone, like shades. Like there's depending on what shade it is, it's going to be more or less accurate to the human eye or something like it. There's what I'm trying to I don't know what I'm talking about if you can't tell. What I'm trying to say is it's not really like a one size fits all thing where if it's not just it's color accurate or it's not color accurate. It sort of depends on what the workload is. Yeah, that's all I have to talk about.
All right. Next up, let's see. Sorry, I know you're looking this one. So next up, Apple is reportedly developing a magnetic battery pack for the iPhone. This is actually pretty interesting. I know it's probably going to be expensive, but with the new MagSafe on the new iPhones, I could see this actually being like pretty interesting because like if you're going on a trip or you're going for a long day somewhere, if you're going to like a sports game or something like that, those usually take all day, and I know I've gone and my phone batteries died. You don't like to lug around the big like battery packs, and so this will basically just magnetize onto the back. I think it's basically going to be like a wireless charger, but it will communicate through MagSafe. So I thought that was
that is
interesting.
Neat. Here's the thing: is I worry Apple. Don't get me wrong. There's a market for this. There most certainly is. I would pay $125 if it has the right capacity and form factor.
Yeah, that's what I think. It's not gonna have I think it's not gonna have enough capacity. I think they're gonna charge $100. If I had to guess, to 120, I'd probably pay like $80 for it.
I mean, that was what I said I would pay with Apple tax.
With Apple tax, yeah, 120.
No, I think it's probably worth $60 in practicality, but I mean it's Apple. So here's the thing, Apple, is that I worry you're going to try and market it as, your one and only device, the only important device that you own needs battery. Here, this is this perfect battery bank. When in reality, if I'm going on a trip, if I'm going on I'm going on a flight. Remember when we used to do that? Remember when we used to go on airplanes? I would bring a dedicated battery pack for my headphones, my phone, my tablet, my pager, whatever, like whatever small.
Do you want to explain to the viewers what a pager is?
They don't need to know that. My smartwatch, whatever sort of, you can't really charge a laptop off of it, but whatever sort of small device I have, I would want something that I can plug in a USB cord, because some of them might be micro B or Lightning or USB-C. There's multiple different standards. And as much as Apple desperately wants me to stay inside their ecosystem, that's just not feasible. Not everybody's devices are going to be.
I don't think it would be used. I think it would be, maybe it would be good for a trip because you would use that as an extra add-on, so you wouldn't need to charge that with your
it wouldn't be
battery bank.
So I'm getting to the use case for it. I'm just trying to tell Apple what they should not market it as. The use case, and I can give you a perfect example right here, is a couple days ago I went skiing, and in the cold, one's phone battery drains much quicker, and I don't have my smartwatch, I don't have my tablet with me. I just want a phone that's charged. Perfect. If you can keep the form factor down,
exactly.
That's literally
you can fit that in your pocket.
Fit it in your pocket. All I need is a little top up, just a little slap on if I need to, text somebody or, call somebody who I've lost on the mountain, or I could tell them, all right, we're going to meet up at the lodge, or, whenever. Just a little bit of juice when you need it.
So another thing about like something like that is I don't know if they. My guess is they would do this. I don't know if this would work, but because it's MagSafe, I don't know if they're able to do something. My guess is with the iPhones that'll make it charge faster than if it were just regularly wireless charging. My guess is they probably are limiting the how fast your phone charges, and I think maybe with this MagSafe battery, you might be able to charge it faster. Because I know on the wireless chargers, like with the MagSafe one, I think you can charge faster than with regular wireless chargers.
Probably, because here's the thing: is that we talked about this before when we talked about MagSafe, but with your average everyday wireless charger, if it's there's a precise point that is optimized for the least resistance, i.e., the least amount of passive heat that's going to be generated because it's not directly plugged in, it's going through materials. You'll notice this if you ever have like just sort of thrown your phone on your wireless charger and walked away and come back. If it wasn't lined up correctly, you can actually pick up your phone and touch either the back or the charging pad. It'll be hot to the touch because it didn't have the correct, usually it's distance when it comes to wireless charging. It was too far away. The phone, the wireless charging receptor is over here, and the emitter is over here, and so there's a greater distance than if they were right on top of each other. So it, i.e., would create more resistance and heat. With MagSafe, the idea is because it's all magnetized, it can align itself perfectly every time.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to put a artificial cap on that to make sure you don't accidentally start a fire. So I wouldn't be surprised if you could charge it at the same rate that MagSafe can. It's up to Apple how far they want to push that, because wireless charging is great. I use it a lot. At the end of the day, it's still not comparable to directly plugging your phone in.
Yeah.
So
one of the issues though with this, which I think is going to be interesting to see what they do, is depending on the capacity, those things can get pretty heavy. So those magnets have to be like relatively strong to like hold it. And I know the MagSafe ones now are definitely not as strong as people would have hoped. So that may affect how big the capacity it could.
Here's the thing: I'm convinced that they made the MagSafe. I mean, remember the reason for the original MagSafe, why it was magnetic instead of
that is true.
Pressure fit?
Yeah,
is because
so if
you trip over
it,
computer cords, it's not going to yank your computer onto the floor and smash it.
That's true.
I'm convinced it's probably a similar rationale. I think because you don't have to worry about, because there's no other wire coming off of it, essentially, there's no reason they couldn't make those magnets stronger. I don't know how heavy it's going to be. I don't know what the capacity is like. Apple, you'd have to get the right capacity, weight, form factor, and you'd have to market it right. But I think if you can get that right, it's something even I, the Apple hater, would be willing to pay for. It's
also this
just because of my love of skiing, though. I honestly, my personal life, I can't think of another major use case for when I would use it. But it is perfect for skiing.
Yeah. Yeah. So the only thing with this though is like, I mean, I get through a day completely fine on a single charge. So like, I would really only use this if I was going for a long day trip or I knew I was going to be using my phone a lot. But I could definitely see this being a case. So like sometimes I'll use my phone, like in a stream I did like a couple of days ago. I used my phone as a camera, and I was moving it around. And so if I have a cord coming off of that, I didn't. But like when I was done streaming, my phone battery was pretty low because that takes a lot out of it. So if I had the battery like on that and it was charging the whole time, I could definitely see that being a use case for me.
Sure. The other thing I can think of is like if you're on vacation somewhere picturesque and you're taking pictures and videos and all this sorts of things, especially if it's like a multi-day vacation and you forget to charge one night. Like, it's the other thing is it's a peace of mind thing to have a battery pack for me. Where, if I forgot to charge my phone or I'm far away and I can't, there's not a good place for me to plug in and charge up and my phone's at 10% and I gotta call somebody in a half an hour, like there is like a use, definitely if I completely forget, at least I have this thing where I can make a call. Like there is a peace of mind thing to that because our phones are so necessary now.
Yeah. So just having it there to like,
yeah. I mean, it's not bad enough where I carry a battery pack with me wherever I go. I used to have a battery case, which I actually did like.
Yeah, I used to have one of those. They're just so bulky.
It
That's
was
the only
bulky.
thing.
I enjoyed it though because it would extend my battery and extend the life of it. It was an old iPhone 5.
Yeah, those Mophie cases.
Mophie, yeah,
Yeah, those are the
those
best.
were great.
Yeah.
They were great.
Yeah. So apparently this was found in the iOS 14.5 beta, like I don't know source code, but like in the code for it, which
Yeah, yeah.
has apparently since been removed. All right. So next up, don't know if anyone's into cameras, but as you saw, I don't know if you guys saw my video, which was my unboxing of my Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera
Have they
4K.
fixed Blackmagic Raw's soft? Like, have they fixed that yet?
No, not yet.
And don't get Blackmagic.
I mean, but it shoots ProRes, so like
Oh, this one shoots ProRes?
they all shoot ProRes. Like I shoot
Not all of
ProRes.
them.
I shoot ProRes. No,
Oh,
not
okay.
ProRes RAW, but ProRes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like the issue is with Blackmagic Raws.
Yeah,
There,
is
that
you
was
can't.
with that.
Yeah, is that you have to
Blackmagic
go.
Raw is terrible
You have to
because the
use
software side of
unless you
it.
use DaVinci Resolve.
Unless you use DaVinci Resolve.
Although
Which, to be fair, for a free video editor, is
yeah.
both packed with features and
Exactly.
fairly user friendly.
Yeah, and it also the
as
camera
user friendly as a video editor can get.
and it also comes with a free license to the entirety of DaVinci Resolve Studio, which is like
Yeah.
over $200, like already
Yeah.
like coming with the camera.
So to be fair, it's pretty.
Yeah.
DaVinci Resolve is pretty legit.
I
but if
just
you're
don't
already
like
setting
that
your
they
ways-
lock you down to that. That's the only thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There is
Well,
there is
Blackmagic,
a
that's a very Apple move. They just want you to stay in their ecosystem so they
Yeah.
can jack prices on stuff.
there is and you can actually if you take the footage and you import it to DaVinci Resolve, you can export it as like I think you would export it as like ProRes or H.264. I don't know. You would export it in the Final Cut format, and then you can import it, edit your video. But instead of exporting it directly from Final Cut, you can export the timeline as a XML, is what it says, and you can actually open it back up in DaVinci Resolve and then just export it from there. Then you can color correct everything. Or you can actually also color correct everything first, I believe. And then you can bring it back to DaVinci Resolve and then export it from there.
Thanks
It's a
for
little
that.
bit more of a
Rundown.
hassle. It's a little bit more of a hassle. So I'm hoping someone creates a plugin. I know there's a plugin for
There
Premiere.
is a plugin.
For Premiere that
It's-
someone else created. So
Yeah, it's a
hopefully they
third
bring-
party,
yeah,
and it's like 30 something. I think it's like $35 a month.
Yeah, it's not that expensive. So hopefully someone makes one for Final Cut because I would definitely use that because ProRes files are really big. I just wish to shot ProRes RAW, but anyway. So new Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera Pro 6K just came out, and so now it has a tilt screen, so you can like pop it out a little bit, and then it like tilts, which it can come in handy a lot. I'm glad they didn't put out like a flip out screen, just because this camera isn't like a vlogging camera. And then they also added a viewfinder above that as well, so you can like press your eye to it. Other than that, I don't think the camera changed that much. It says this is an OLED. It's an OLED electronic viewfinder.
That makes sense.
Oh wait, no, hold on.
It's optional.
Oh, it's
Optional $500
optional.
OLED electronic viewfinder.
Yeah. But the actual screen is also 1500 nits, which is brighter than most, so that's pretty cool. So there are now built-in ND filters, which can come in handy a lot if you shoot outside. And so the camera has 4 built-in ones. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So they now throw in an extra mini XLR jack. So I only have 1, but now on this Pro 6K, you now have 2, which is pretty nice. And Blackmagic does a great job on the camera of you being able to record audio. Like you have 2 separate channels, which is pretty cool. So yeah, this is a. Wait, hold on. This is an EF mount. It looks like a Super 35 sensor with a Canon EF mount. So that's interesting. But so that's good. So they just released this, and so the price of it is now $2,495, which is about $500 more than the non-pro version. I don't know if that's worth $500. I think I could go for it. But yeah,
The camera or the display?
the camera.
Yeah.
I know you're not super into cameras, but thought that one was a bit interesting. Let's see what's up next. Did we talk about this one yet? Let's do this one.
No, I haven't.
All right, yeah, we'll do that one and the one below it next. All right. So don't know if anyone saw. But in Australia, we talked about this before. That like Google might be leaving Australia and they might be stuck with Bing. But also Facebook as well. They wanted them to like pay money to add little blurbs under like links to articles and stuff like that. So apparently Facebook's Australian media ban. Apparently, they are now taking down official government pages because I think Google's making a deal with them, but Facebook is kind of
Facebook is also gonna be hit hard by this ban. The specific bill that Google was hit hard by is just about like online web stuff. Like it was targeting Google, but Facebook would essentially get caught in the crossfire. Is essentially what was going to happen. So it's not like Facebook. I don't think it's that Facebook is strictly just striking a deal with Google to team up on Australia. I think they actually would have faced some ill effects. Yeah. So I think everybody kind of stinks in this situation. I think we talked about this before when we were talking about Google. I think Australia did kind of mess up with that bill. I don't think it's a wise course of action, and I don't think it was warranted. Obviously, I don't live in Australia, so it's not really my say. But
you don't have to deal with Bing.
To be fair, we all use Google, which is what they were talking about. And in my experience with Google, those blurbs don't give away enough of an article for it to warrant having to pay to show the blurb.
Agreed.
So I think that was stupid. On the other hand, and you know this Facebook taking down official government pages. Well, yeah, it's their private businesses. If they say we don't want to serve you, they don't have to. That's their right. In any location. I mean,
but this is like a huge deal because that a lot of times it says they're using these pages to like give people like, information.
So that's the thing, is that especially during this COVID crisis, is that these official government pages are how most people are getting their news about vaccine rollout and what the current case numbers are today and how high is COVID, how many COVID cases are in your area? What's the news? Especially because of COVID, I think it's a little too far. From Facebook. Like I said, I think everybody stinks here. There's certainly a case to be made that says from Facebook that says, hey, we don't have to serve you, and it's not wise for us to continue serving in this country, giving you our.
Because they're basically telling them that they have to pay.
Exactly.
So why would they do that?
It's totally fair for Facebook to say that. On the other hand, it's a little hard. What I think Facebook should have done, and this I don't think is legal. I think it would be considered blackmail, specifically like quid pro quo, because from Facebook, I would say, look, we are not. There's a.
I think they could have made a deal. Like, it didn't have to be blackmail. They could have just said, we'll come to an agreement where we will show your government pages, but like you're not going to make us pay for that stuff.
So here's the issue, is that the only way to avoid it would be if you don't make it specifically like if this, then that. So you can't say like, well, if you don't make us pay, then we will continue showing your pages. That would be considered blackmail. Yeah. But they could say, hey, from Facebook, hey, we just want to let you guys know, should this bill become a law, our current business plan is to remove our services from your country. we noticed a lot of your critical information is on these pages. If you guys really feel this way, if you really want this law to be approved, we recommend you start preparing and shifting over your. I think there's a way to say, hey, look, if you guys, I don't think you've really thought this through, how much you use our services. From our perspective, it's not advantageous to continue providing our services in this country. Therefore, be prepared to lose this stuff. Sending out something along that lines and giving them essentially a time, from when this law is enacted or from when you are going to make us pay, essentially, or if it already has been, say, all right, we're not going to provide any other news stories other than these specific government pages for the next 6 months, and then after that, we're going to be removing everything entirely. Give them some sort of time frame to swap over so that your average civilian doesn't suffer. Is really what all.
Agreed.
If the government takes a hit, this is their problem, But if your average civilian is now they can't get the information that's necessary for their safety, then then you've gone too far. I think that's what it comes down to. But like I said, everybody kind of stinks here.
Yep. I just saw a chat that just said, asked if we did the Linux on Mars discussion. Yes,
yeah, we did.
This was the first topic of this episode. So yeah, if you want to go check it out.
It was good. Linux made it to Mars before people.
Yay. Go Linux.
And Windows and Mac, proving once and for all that Linux is superior to all other operating systems.
True.
I can't believe... Are we moving on to the next article?
No, sorry, go ahead.
I was just asking if we moved on to the next article.
Oh, no.
I can't believe we haven't covered this yet. I feel like this was out last week.
Yeah. So apparently, NZXT's H1 PC case has finally gotten recalled after the whole catching on fire thing.
For the record, this isn't like a little some cases were catching on fire and people got mad. No, this is legitimately a threat. If you own one of these cases, give it back and get a refund and get something good. Because it is a legitimate... Steve from Gamers Nexus was able to reproduce this quite quickly with
and
what
Steve,
I would consider
Steve
what I would consider reasonable levels of awareness. Because here's the thing:
he's tech Jesus. So
he's tech Jesus. Because here's the thing: most of these malfunctions are going to be caused by somebody either not experienced or not paying attention and over tightening a specific screw. Steve is well versed in tech, and he knows the consequences that can come from over tightening a screw. And so, to be fair, he does coax it along a little to show what might happen, but it wasn't that much, and he was able to get results on his first or second try. So it's clearly was a pretty big deal. So basically, if you don't know what happened, the H1 case is it's vertical. It has a fairly small form factor.
It kind of looks like the Xbox Series X.
It kind of looks like the Series X. So the way NZXT gets around this is by using what's called a PCI riser cable or riser bracket, which is essentially they take the PCIe slot and they turn it into a cable and they just kind of extend it and loop around. Now that other side has a screw hole in it. And it has a daughter board underneath that screw hole. So if you're not aware of how most motherboards are made, they have grounding points around where screws are, so that it doesn't accidentally bridge or touch a trace that might be carrying a charge. So built into motherboards, there are little lines that carry electricity, whether it be 5 volt or 12 volt. 12 volt specifically is the one in question here, which is bad because the higher the voltage, the higher the resistance. So it was carrying a 12 volt rail right next to this screw hole, the screw hole that was not grounded. And so if you over tighten the screw, there was a chance that this metallic screw, this conductive screw, was going to touch a 12 volt rail, possibly causing a short or causing that current to divert into the screw, which would then heat up drastically because of that resistance. And it was touching rubber and other electronics that would heat up and possibly, actually not even possibly, could catch fire.
And I
So
think there was a way to fix this. I think
so
Base 2 Cents did a video where you could
yeah.
add
So
like a spacer.
you could add a spacer. NZXT eventually sent out. They took all the stuff back and no, you had to apply.
Yeah.
You had to fill out a form that says, "Hey, I have an H1 case. I want this replacement." What they did was they replaced that metallic screw with a nylon screw, which NZXT seemed to know this in late 2020 when it opted to send out nylon plastic screw kits for the H1 owners. The idea being, if you accidentally bridge this 12-volt rail because it's nylon, it's not conductive, and so nothing really bad is going to happen. The issue is, Tech Jesus points this out, is that nylon screws don't solve. This is a quote from him. Nylon never mind, this is not a quote. Gotcha there. Nylon screws. Sorry, I saw the quote above it, and then I was like, "Oh, this might be." Nylon screws don't solve the root of the problem. If owners ever decided to switch using a screw in the riser, they'd reintroduce the possibility of a fire. Actually, probably exponentially so, because if you're going to be replacing screws, you're going to be backing out and and putting them back in, which is more likely to cause that bridge into the 12-volt rail that was right next to the screw hole. It kind of stinks for NZXT because they didn't manufacture this PCI riser cable. They probably outsourced it. Actually, they definitely would have outsourced it. And so it sucks that they're taking the blame for what is another company's fault. But
they should have checked this, like, when they were making the case. They had plenty of time.
Yeah, so all this can remind me of is like the 2019 Imac Fiasco with the vase mount. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, was that the iMac
Same
Pro?
thing. It was the iMac Pro, I think. Yeah. So basically,
Snazzy Labs did a video.
Snazzy Labs had they had a whole series of them. Basically, the thing was Apple outsourced the stand and the vase mount hardware to another company, not Apple.
I don't think it was the stand. I think it was just the vase mount, right?
Was it just the vase mount? Well, then you put in a new stand, and those screws also broke. So whatever hardware they were using for both the stand and the vase mount.
Okay.
It was the screws were the issue, not the vase mount.
Yeah.
The screws were very low quality, and the heads would actually snap off of them, and then you couldn't pull the screw out, and therefore you could not take the vase mount off. Same thing. Apple didn't make those screws. They outsourced that to a company, but it's their fault for
they should have checked it over.
Checking it and not testing the finished product. So I'm not quite sure how NZXT missed this. Clearly, they must have been just... I mean, I will say, if you're going to be testing a product, most likely it's going to be tested by people who are well-versed in the product and they know not to over-tighten the screw. So, and one thing to note is it's not like if you own this case, it will set on fire. There's a half-decent chance, probably it's 1 in 100, that this is going to cause a bridge. And even if it causes a bridge, it's even less likely it's actually going to start a fire. Most likely it'll just spark sporadically, or you might not even see it. It might not bridge enough to create enough resistance to even heat it up significantly. There's a chance it'll just kind of sit there slightly hotter than before. Like even if you did accidentally bridge, which is already unlikely, there's a half-decent chance nothing would come of it. But there's enough of a chance where NZXT decided to replace the screws, and now they're deciding, I think, to recall the whole case.
Yeah.
So a fast-track recall of the PC case on February 12th. Yeah, so they're recalling the case. It was essentially forced by Consumer Product Safety Commission, CPSC, which is a government agency. So the government said, "Hey, look, guys, you gotta recall this."
They should have done that anyway. They shouldn't have had.
Well, it says, to be fair, it says Gamers Nexus worked with NZXT and Consumer Product Safety Commission, a government agency, which issued a fast-track recall of the PC case. So it sounds like NZXT was involved in helping, but
yeah,
they should have.
I think this was definitely a problem like a while ago though, because I feel like Jay did his video like a month ago on like fixing it.
Well, this case came out a while. This case came out like 3 or 4 months ago.
This article is just about the recall.
It was just about the recall. Yeah, like I said, this case, I remember seeing it and being like, "Hey, that's a neat case."
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
And then I was like, "Well, I want a little more space. It would look a little small on my desk." Like, I considered buying it, and so clearly,
with your IT export, you could actually do that if you wanted to just buy this case.
I could, but that IT export, it's not worth getting a whole brand new case for it. Like, I actually, this IT export is in another NZXT product. I have the H510, which is a great case.
It is a great case. It looks so cool.
They look. I love NZXT's design, and
Oh my god,
normally
have you seen their motherboards? There's
their
literally
motherboard is
nothing
insane. It's
nothing
literally
on it.
one.
It's just
There's
nothing
literally
on
one
it.
motherboard. They only have Intel motherboards. Otherwise, I actually would have considered that for an AMD build.
It's
My
just
AMD build,
no,
I
but
would.
there's literally nothing on it. Like it's just a like a gray, and that's it. It's crazy.
Which one are you talking about? I'm talking about. They only. I thought they only have one motherboard.
The one that I
But the one I'm thinking about, they have like this really cool looking like white shielding or black or whatever. They have this really cool shielding on it.
there was a dark.
Motherboard. Yeah, they only have one. It's the N7 Z490 gaming motherboard with Wi-Fi and cam features.
Oh, this was a while ago, so it's probably not the.
It might be the same. I don't think they've come out with a new one. Just they only have one motherboard. It's going
Wait,
for
Z490.
$230.
Z490's the
Z490, yeah.
That's the new stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're talking about the same thing, but it's not just the PCB. It has this really cool. I think it looks great. Protective shielding over it, which I think it creates a very cool design. It's very clean, very minimalistic. I think this is about as close to Apple as you can get in the PC world. Just that design language of like being, very simple yet elegant. I think they look great. You can get it in matte white or matte black. If you're gonna do an NZXT build, I will say the white stuff looks great. They have some really good.
I'll have to find a picture. I swear they had one where there was like I looked it up one time, and there was literally nothing like on it. Like it was like there was like it was like all like everything was painted like dark gray.
I don't know.
It looks pretty cool. I don't know. All right, I think that'll wrap up the episode since it's been a little over an hour. So thank you to everybody that is watching. Make sure to check out our forum at thetechprofessor.net and follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at thetechprofjb. And also click that little blue join button for exclusive content to help support the channel. And I'm Jake, the Tech Professor, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.